Manchester United 2, Leeds United 0 in what was Mason Mount's not official debut, but the pre-season debut. A lot of people, including many Chelsea fans around the world, tuning in to watch the game. We are going to be covering pre-season matches this year. And of course, you don't always read too much into it, especially the early games. They're about fitness. But it's key and worthwhile to look at maybe some of the young talent that's coming through the positions that people take up. And that is what we're going to do for a number of the top 6 teams over the course of the preseason period. But do us a big favor and hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribing. And of course, download the Top 6 show now. It's available on Spotify. QR code is on the screen. And there's a few performances that I wanted to speak about. And the first one was that very talented performance on the right-hand side from Emre. Emran said this, I tweeted this. He moved me far more on that right-hand side than Ahmad did. He actually scored a goal, delivered some good crosses. I prefer the physicality. And it's the first time, I don't watch a lot of the Man United Academy games anymore because I cancelled MUTV. I don't get the opportunity to watch them. So I'm far more unfamiliar than I was 5-6 years ago back. I was an MUTV subscriber for about 20-25 years. When it was pretty much launched, I've had it as a kid. I got my dad to pay for it. When I was an adult, I paid for it myself. So it was really good to watch him. But Manu in the middle, this kid has got something special about him. There is a player in there. And it isn't just his ability on the ball. When I was a young man, my dad used to say to me, any player that looks like he's got all the time in the world on the ball is class. Now, you've got to work hard and you've got to progress this. But Manu looks like he has an hour to make every decision. His balance, his ability to drop and roll both shoulders in either direction is great. And I thought he held the midfield very well in that first half with Mason Mount, who played a much deeper role than maybe some expected. Definitely a deeper role than the graphics on MUTV suggested as well. So, yeah, for me, I was very happy. Okay, I was very happy with his performance there today as well. I also thought the striker, and I want to make sure I pronounce his name right, who scored the second goal. His name was Hugill. Hugill, again, I'm not saying he's the next Harry Kane, he's going to be a star. I had one question for Erik ten Hag, and that's you should have given this kid some games instead of Weghorst. Weghorst misses the chances he scored today. I was impressed with him. I thought he played well. I think for me, when it comes to Mason Mount, I thought he did well. I thought he pressed brilliantly. I felt he controlled the mid. He didn't have to. It wasn't a midfield battle because they won it and Leeds dropped off. There was a great pass that he played out wide to Ahmad early in the game. Great cut through 3 or 4 players. There's some good moments along those lines. He had a few overhit crosses. He had a shot that went into row Z. He had an offside opportunity that he scuffed, but I wasn't disappointed. I also wasn't purring and thinking, wow, this is the greatest debut I've ever seen. Equally, it's the first game he's played, in 4 or 5 months? And I thought he did well. And I've seen compilations going around already. I've seen compilations going around already from Chelsea fans talking about how bad a transfer it was. And yeah, listen, if that's what helps you cope, if that's what makes you feel better, then do it. But I, for one, was happy with that debut performance from him. I also felt that Hannibal looked very good out there today as well. He impressed me. I'm not going to talk much about Varane and Martinez and AWB. They are who they are. But I thought they were very good. Sancho, look, he was playing in a false nine role. That isn't his position. But again, I just thought he was sloppy. He had a really good turn at one point. Did a few touches. But I want to see more from Jadon Sancho this season. I have very little patience remaining with him. But of course, it is the first game of pre-season. So I'm not going to be overly harsh on him. but there was an opportunity where he didn't even miss control. He foot missed the ball. And those little things are worries for me. They really are. The fact that Emran in the second half, although it was playing out in a wide position, was far more impactful. Hugo was far more impactful. I need more from Jadon Sancho going into next season. There's no doubt about it. We need that. Baz here with the super chat says the style of play with the youngsters was obvious and it was more impressive. They are able to dominate Leeds with so many veterans. Yeah, I was a little worried about the second half from a results point of view. I wanted Man United to win the game. But what you've got to remember, a lot of those academy players in the second half play together and have relationships. The first half team, in some respects, although you had bigger names out there, they're all being thrown together, a lot of them for the first time, people being played in positions they're not used to. So you could see the lack of chemistry and understanding of each other's game, which I think will develop over the course of time. And there's still, listen, there's 15 to 16 first team players still to come back, plus the likes of Onana, maybe Hoyland, and maybe another 2 or 3 more signings still to join this team as well. So it's hard. I don't think anybody you can joke around and say, yeah, we won our first game, we're going to win the league, have a little bit of banter. But it's difficult to know how we've progressed until we start getting those first team players back. But there's definitely some quality in that academy team. And Manu, he's a player that I want to see given more opportunities. And in the next game in a week's time, I want to see Emran as well. Because as I said at the start of this video, he moved me far more than Ahmad did. Everyone, listen, I like Ahmad. He had a good season in the championship, but there's something about him that just doesn't click for me. And maybe it's just a stylistic issue I have and a preference in terms of how people play and move things. Mish here says Mason Mount will do well at United, but don't expect any world-class performances. He runs a lot and he chips in with the odd goal and assist. That is about it. I'm not expecting Mason Mount to be Eric Cantona for Man United. I'm not expecting him to be Lionel Messi. Anybody that's setting the standards that high is deluding themselves. It really is. Terry, is it true United are linked with Thomas Partey? I've seen the media reports, but I don't think there's too much in it at all. Personally, I don't see that one happening in any capacity. I really don't. This is the same Leeds that just relegated from the Premier League, so we can't rate him from this preamble. I think you can talk about a performance and say it was good. Nobody here, and I'm certainly not saying that these Man United players are the ones, and these youngsters are it, and they're going to make it. I think there's talent in Manu, like I've said. I like the look of Hannibal, but listen, it's a good start to preseason, and we want to see a little bit more from them. Terry, respect the treble winners before talking about the club from Manchester that's in the mud. That's really weird comment. They haven't played, so I can't talk about them. You don't like players who don't run at defenders, Terry. That's why. Maybe it's that. Maybe it is that. And I think my fullbacks should be running at fullbacks at times. They should be taking them on. They should be committing people. And it's sometimes just get that ball into that box. Get the ball into the box. Get the cross in there. I didn't think Ahmad was poor. Emran moved me more. Maybe it was because he scored, but there's just something about him I just preferred. And maybe it's just stylistic. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to delivery. And I want to see my players deliver. And Emran did that for Manchester United today. Corner improvement. Nah, it was all right. Hansen and Gore looked good. Yeah, they looked okay. Again, I wasn't blown away. I tell you who I was impressed with is it Kovar in goal? His ability on the ball. Again, he'll probably never be anywhere David De Gea's level as a goalkeeper with his hands. But he is sensational. Absolutely sensational. Terry only likes P and P. But that's just not true. Some of my favorite Man United players, Wayne Rooney, Teddy Sheringham, Eric Cantona, Michael Carrick, just to name some of my favorite Man United players. They were nothing to do with pace and power. Rooney had some pace and power, but they were more about their first touch and their ball playing abilities. One of my favorite midfield players in the world for years has been Marco Verratti. He's not a P&P merchant. So this isn't true in any... In fact, I'm a big Bruno Fernandes fan. He doesn't have pace or power. So yeah, that isn't it at all. I just like my fullbacks when they isolate my inside forwards and my wingers, when they isolate a fullback, I want them to run at the man. Not every time to become predictable, but enough. And I love what Emran did. I thought he was very, very good today. Very, very good. Manu is top class. He's him. And listen, it's another example. Everything I've seen from Manu so far. P would not be anywhere near the top 10 attributes of this player. He's balance. He's first touch. He's reading of the game for an 18-year-old. And by the way, recently turned 18. Is absolutely phenomenal. Now, there's a long, long way to go for this man to be Premier League, top class Premier League level. There's a long way for him to go. But the rawness and the talent and the ability in Manu is there in abundance. And there is potentially a very, very good player there. Someone trying to bait me out here. How did you watch the game when you don't subscribe to NUTV? There's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not going to obviously bait myself up on the internet. I use the NordVPN, but that's how it's done. I don't give Man United any. Personally, I don't give Man United any money. But come on now, don't ask me those questions. Thoughts on Ahmad? I thought he did well. I thought he was a little greedy. Listen, if you're going to shoot as regularly as he does, you've got to score. If he scores those chances, I don't mind. But if you take shots instead of passing, and you thunder it over consistently, you're going to be criticized. It's as simple as that. This here says, I think it's an indication that we need to give young strikers like Hugo and McNeil more of a chance than wasting time and effort on wasteful, injury-prone fools like Martial. We don't need to call him a fool, but absolutely, I think giving other people opportunities is going to be key. It really is, and it also shows we need, like Sancho, I've criticized an element of him today, but he was playing a false nine role, which is not his position. He should be on that right-hand side. That's where he plays. He's a right-hand-sided winger. Can do a job on the left, but he's on the right. And the club needs to go and get a 9. We're going to struggle so badly next year if we don't have one. Rashford can play there, but he's not a 9. We need someone who's that's their natural position. No illegal streams. Just with a subscription in another country that I have. That's all. Nothing illegal about it. Relax your brains, people. Again, I said the other day about Man United fans being bait. Don't bait it up, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? Terry getting already after Leeds 2-0 in pre-season. Yeah, I've made loads of claims about next season and so far in this. Absolutely have. No panel today, just myself chatting to you all. I watched it for free. These youngsters will never be like Foden at 18. Yeah, look, Fodens don't come around very often. Very few play, Fodens and Sakas and Rashfords that are first team ready at 18 are very, very rare. They're very, very rare indeed. Macavia here says, Manu reminds me of Pogba with the way he drops his shoulder and glides with the ball. Yeah, but do you know what? He's already he's better than Pogba in the deep line positions. Paul Pogba deep used to the amount of times he get caught in possession. Now, we haven't seen Manu play in big games, okay? But I guarantee you an element of Manu's game, which is better than Paul Pogba's, is when he's playing in that deep holding midfield role. His press resistance in those deeper areas will be better than Paul Pogba's. I think he's got a natural affinity and proclivity to understand that element of the game. That was where Paul Pogba was at his weakest. I love Paul Pogba in that final third of the pitch, slightly to the left-hand side, dominating and tearing things up. I get what you mean by he reminds you, but I think they're very different football players in terms of where they'll play and where their dominant positions will be. But I understand what you mean by the dropping of the shoulder. It's funny how it's a United pre-season game and others want it to be about their team. Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, we'll be covering Arsenal. We'll be covering Chelsea, a bit of Liverpool. I will try to watch as many as I can. I won't be able to watch everybody's pre-season games, but we will be covering a number. And it won't be every single time for every single team, but we'll be covering a number over the course of the season. Manu's vision is elite. The way he is able to get rid of the ball and make complete passes. Yeah, it's very good, Mark. You're right. And maybe this is why Zidane was allowed to leave. Because, again, Zidane may have played slightly further up the pitch, but there's only a handful of young players at a time that you can develop within your first team. You can't have 4, 5, 6, 7, generally speaking, unless they are all seen as class of 92 levels. It's impossible to do. 2 or 3 at a time. Sometimes you have to buy people in as well. You have to be very, very careful not to have too many young players because some will be left behind. So I think Manu may be the individual that Ten Hag looks at and says, listen, we're going to throw a lot of time, energy, and effort into developing you because there's a real, genuine talent there. Oh my God, Terry, don't let Chelsea fans say they don't care about Mount leaving. Listen, everyone knows that the Terrace has got a really good Chelsea community. But what I've seen on Twitter this afternoon, this is why I love the job I do. It's why my job, honestly, for me personally, is the best job on earth, the greatest job on earth, because I'm literally able to sit and talk about football every day, but I get to enjoy the I get to enjoy the crazy reactions from you all. And I mean you all the viewers, because I'm seeing foul Listen, I remember when it all becomes a knock-on effect, and you just got to learn to accept it. So when Mykhailo Mudryk joined Chelsea, and after his first game, there was foul compilations from Arsenal fans, you knew Mount was going to get it, okay? And Arsenal fans, get ready, because they're coming for Kai Havertz too, right? The fact there's a foul compilation, and one of them is for a really good attempted chip that nearly went in, and they're laughing because it didn't go. I can't believe it. I like Chelsea fans are hurting. They are hurting deep, deep, deep inside. And I wasn't surprised to see it. I will enjoy it, though. I will certainly enjoy it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on socials today. It was a madness to me. It was a madness. It really was. And Kunku is clear of Mount. Yeah, and he may very well be. But if you're not bothered, you wouldn't talk about it. You know? I don't go on the internet and talk about my ex. I don't bring her up when I'm around friends because I'm over it. It doesn't bother me no more. You don't talk about things. You don't moan about things. You don't cry about things that you're not bothered by. This is what the younger generation have got to learn. And listen, everyone's free to do what they want in this world. But you know what? When I'm teaching my kids, I'll be like, son, like, they're all, my kids are United fans like me, but my son's angry. I'm like, yeah, but don't tweet you're angry about it. Keep your powder dry. Don't show everybody you're bothered. That's better banter. That's more cool. You know what would hurt Mount more is if no Chelsea fan ever mentioned him again. That's far better banter. I don't know about you. That's just the way I see it. Like, ignore him. It's the best way to handle it. Showing you're bothered, it's just going to make everyone laugh. But that's just my personal opinion and how I handle things. What did you make of Matty Kovac? Who's Matty Kovac? Oh, okay. I know you mean. His name ain't Matty Kovac. Is it pronounced? Is it Kovar? Is that how you pronounce it? Again, I'm not familiar with him. I haven't watched anything academy-wise for years because, like all proper Man United fans, I unsubscribed from NU TV. I stopped giving the Glazers my money. First time I've seen him, excellent on the ball. Excellent, excellent, excellent on the ball. I'm not a massive fan of Mount, but he was decent, in my opinion, better than I thought he would be. Look, let's wait and see. Let's wait for Mount to have Casemiro around him, Rashford around him, a proper number 9 to pass into, Bruno. Him and Bruno pressing. You're going to see a different Man United. And he did 3 or 4 times in this game. Yes, and it's against Leeds, and they're a championship team. 2 or 3 passes in that first half where he just cut a team open. I think this guy will do well for us. I really do. Terry, if you're craving to watch some football, the Irish teams are starting early rounds of the Europa. I'll give it a little look, my friend. I'll give it a little look. I've got a little soft spot for Dundalk, actually. United see Mudryk in Mounts. We see 60 million in the bank. No Man United fan has ever mentioned Luka Modric and Mount at all. No one's ever done that. Terry, how do you feel if Frankie de Jong signed for City? Yeah, I'd be gutted. Not so much because I want him, but it would make you guys even better and harder to catch. Yeah, that'd be devastating. There's no doubt about it. Pressing what? You know exactly what I mean, Sean. Do you think we can be brave enough to use Mano as Casemiro's backup, or do we realistically need someone like Amrabat? But I think you sign Amrabat, you move on McTominay and Fred, and then you use Manu. So I think that's how you do it. So you have Casemiro, Bruno, Amrabat, Mount as your main 4 midfielders that you use, okay? And then you add Manu as the 5th. Then that way you can give him enough game time and exposure to improve without him being the last line of defense if Casemiro is missing through injury or suspension. It gives you a little bit more backup. You look what happened last year when, Bajcetic came into Liverpool, looked good, but then the pressure just got to him. Too many games too soon. And as I said before, every now and then, centre backs, goalkeepers, holding midfield are probably 3 of the only positions where you rarely see a kid at 17, 18 years of age ready to play week in, week out for a club as big as Man United. Typically, they take a little bit longer because those roles are about learning the game. So that is what I would do. A great point, Terry. The best way to get back at someone in any part of life is to completely forget about them. I'll be honest with you. I've done it. There's been a few people on socials that have said and done things towards me that have bothered me. Whenever I reacted, all it did was make me look desperate. I'd get shit for it. When I ignore them and leave them alone, it all goes away. It really does. But we live in a world now where people don't think that's the best way to handle things. But again, if you're not bothered, you're not bothered. I just think people are. Gerald here says, hi, how are you doing today? Any news on players coming into the club in or out? I don't know who you support personally, but Man United very close with Onana. United are looking at Amrabat, but we'll see if things will progress with that later. There is talk that Taremi's agent is at Carrington today. He's posted a picture at the training ground. So we'll see whether that's anything to do with... He might have a young player that's coming through academy-wise. So, he might represent someone else who's already at the club, but nothing else. It's very, very quiet at the moment. Very, very quiet at the moment in terms of transfers right across the board for all these teams. Second half full of youth and still destroyed James and the Leeds Muppets. Yeah, it was nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Manu is not a DM, is a CM. Look, he's a holding midfield player for me. That's how I view him. That's what I see him as. I haven't seen him play enough games, though. Maybe he'll change my mind. You're right. He's a central midfield player, but I think he can play as a DM. Looking at the way he holds onto that ball, the way he protect that back line. So that's what he was doing today, and I think he did well. What about Manu as an 8? I'm sure he's got the ability to do it. Terry, what kind of pressure is Erik ten Hag under this year? Big pressure. He's the manager and head coach of the biggest football team in England. He'll probably spend 200 plus million more this summer. He has to get himself nearer to that title race. He has to go into the latter stage of the Champions League, and he has to win a trophy. It doesn't necessarily mean you sack him if he doesn't achieve those things. You have to contextualize everything. But none of this, it's going to take 3 or 4 years to maybe become the best team in England. But it shouldn't take 3 or 4 years to get this Man United team challenging. I think we could easily be 15 points better off than we were last year. That will put us into a title race. I believe we can win 5 more games. I believe we can take 5 of our losses and or draws and turn them into wins. I genuinely believe that's possible with this Man United team. I really do. I said Taremi is what I said. Surely you will know who he is, unless I'm pronounced his name wrong. Taremi, auto striker. Is he Iran? He's from Iran. Yes. Maybe you misheard me. So much so about Mount. These lot need to work in a chip shop. Yeah, bro. The high blood pressure out there's a madness. It's a madness. But there we go. If you turn 5 draws into wins, that's not 15 points, lad. I didn't say 5 draws. I was just talking about combination. But I think we can be about 15 points better off next year, if not more. I really do. I really do think we can. I know if you take 5 draws and you turn it into wins, you're only going to be 10 points better off. But 13, 14, 15 plus points easily. We can do that. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. We can, with 4 or 5 quality signings, including the new goalkeeper. 110%. I believe that Man United can do that. Terry, notice how Mount trash, but he's the bar when anyone's comparing their new midfielders against. Yeah, of course he will be. Of course he will be. Terry, we need to talk about Emran and Hansen. They are ballers, even though they're kids. Emran, for me, again, he really moved me today. I love just the way he played. Good finish. There's like a cross at the end of the game as well. So well positioned. The right amount of weight on it. Very, very impressive. Hansen, good. Want to watch him again, though, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, Emram really stood out to me today. Really, really stood out indeed. I was very, very impressed. Can you play the Minerals clip every day? Someone sent me a compilation for it. It was so funny. Excited for the next preseason game, hopefully with Onana. Yeah, it would be nice by the next one to have Onana in, see him with a little bit of game time. More players returning to the club as well. It's in a week's time against Leon, so a much bigger test. But yes, I'm excited about it as well. Mount was excellent, is what Alex says here. Thank you very much, Alex, for your super chat. Erik ten Hag is clearly looking the way we want to play, no matter what team is on the pitch. Yeah, listen, with the goalkeeper improvement and more technical ballers coming in, you will see a massive improvement in how Man United play football this year. We'll dominate the ball more regularly. It'll be a 100% better Man United team and performance than we saw last year. I'm very, very sure of that myself. But maybe that's just my personal opinion. By the way, viewers, please make sure like buttons are hit. Make sure you've got the subscribe button hit as well. And you've turned those bell notifications on, the little bell button next to the sub button if you haven't done that already. I know quite a few of you have. How many? I'm just going to check. In the last 2 days, I haven't checked it for a couple of days. Another 250 of you in the last 2 days have turned those bell notifications on. So thank you. Just make sure you all have it, and then you'll never miss any of our live streams. My mix is going a little bit funny here. Of course, smash the like button. Let's have a look here. Gaz says, hopefully with new signings, United will have a different shape to their play. Can't improve if uses the same shape as last season. But I think you're fine if it's the same shape, if there's better movement from players and there's better technical ballers on the pitch. I don't think shape's there. Are you jumping on, KJ? KJ is going to jump on and join me. I just need to update my the overlay because I didn't do one with the ability to have someone on the screen next to me. Because I didn't know if anybody would want to. But KJ is going to join us now to have his say, give his opinions on that performance. KJ, welcome back, bro. Pre-season's here, only a month away for the Premier League season to start. How did you think United kicked off their pre-season campaign?
Fine, to be fair. We looked solid at the back. We had some counters that we dealt with pretty well, which is, I think, is going to be our main source of threats coming into the new season with getting new players in, how Ten Hag wants to evolve us to play. Counterattacks was something we were facing a lot. So seeing us deal with those things, I was happy about that. Going forward, players looked a bit rusty. Players still trying to find the formula that what it takes to win a game. Obviously, it doesn't help having Sancho up front and forcing out on the wings. He still needs a bit of development to play with the first team, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, decent performance. I like the look of some players. Alvaro Fernandez looks decent. I'm looking forward to see how he goes. Kobe Mainu. Oi. When I say this kid is looking nice, like it's very rare you see a young player in the midfield be able to hold off players, kind of dictate play, and also impact the defensive side of it as well. So I'm very looking forward to Kobe Mainu come through. I feel like he's going to be the one. He's going to be the one academy player who, like Garnacho last season, will come in and actually get some minutes and I'll start to impress and grow slowly in the team as well. I can definitely see that for sure. Who else is there? There was one more youth player. Ahmad. Terry, I saw your tweet and I love it because I already knew as soon as Ahmad came off without a goal contribution, I'm like, Terry's going to have something to say. And then obviously Emaran scored, which is excellent to see. Well done to him, the young man, and assist as well. He looks good today. And then you made that tweet, and I was just like, I'm not surprised by this whatsoever. I think Ahmad did all right today. I think he did good. And yes, I know you're expecting end product, but he's getting there. He's getting there. He's finding his feet in the team. I feel like we need to see a bit more from him in the next preseason games before we fully judge how he can be for Man United. But he's come off a very good loan. He had spells today where he was actually being threatening. I'm happy with the performance, and I can see him being an asset to Man United in this season. But I know that there's certain players I think that because they get hyped so much, you're very just like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold fire in it because you don't want to be part of Ball FC and that. But hey, give it.
The thing is though, Emran looks like a baller to me as well. I just like the look of this kid. I didn't know who he was until today. As I said, I don't follow the academy because I don't have MUTV. I don't go on the Man United website. And he came on and he really, really impressed me. And I was maybe expecting a little bit more from Ahmad than we got. Having said that, he should have got an assist if Sancho hadn't of. I don't know what Sancho did. He had, according to Staffy, he had a Rashford or a Bruno moment. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what he did out
What
there.
do you always bring me into these conflicts? I didn't say anything. Don't put that on me.
No, listen. I thought Ahmad did okay. I did. What did you make of who was your standouts today in this game? Who were the ones that you looked at Staffy and thought, yeah, there looks like there's a player in there.
I enjoyed Kobe Maino. He was amazing. Looked very good on the ball. The drop of the shoulder is like, this is what I like to see from my players. You know, my taste for players is kind of different than Terry. Terry likes those players that take on everyone and all that. Now I like a player who's tidy on the ball, that you can't press him, you know, that can move in tight spaces. Hannibal was really impressive for me because like I had doubts on this kid. I'm like, I'm not sure because we loaned him out last season. I'm like, he just looks like one of them who's gonna eventually get sold. But we definitely need him next season for legs. He was like, he has that he's Tunisian. I don't know if you guys know this term, but there's a term for North African that's called berber. Berber is like those who lived in the mountains and in the deserts. They have just stamina for days. I know some of them personally. He's just like one of those. This guy has so much stamina and just doesn't stop running. I know it was only 45 minutes, but he was pressing everyone, and I like seeing that. I think he's going to be very important for us next season. I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm not saying he's going to play that many games, but he's going to be, to me, if we keep him, he's going to be essential for squad depth. Obviously Imran, I haven't seen him before, like Terry said, but he looked like he had something about him, and you know, I hope we loan him out. I want him to do what we did with Ahmad last season, where he went to Sunderland and he tore it apart. So I want to see something like that for him because he looks, there's something about him. Ahmad himself, you know, it wasn't the best and it wasn't the worst. So like, I'm not gonna like say too much about it. He, as you said, Terry, he should have had an assist. I don't know what the hell Sancho was doing. The first thing I saw on Twitter was Terry's tweet that Sancho wasn't. He said we sloppy, something like that. And I haven't watched the game yet. Like I was about to put it on. I'm like, oh my god, here we go, Sancho slander. But then I see the replay.
In fairness,
There.
In fairness, I literally tweeted. I tweeted specifically about that moment. Is what
No, I know.
That was sloppy. Yeah, and
I didn't see it until like when you tweeted. I still haven't seen it because I tuned into the game late and I'm like, oh, Terry's being harsh again. Then I saw it. I'm like, he actually has a point there.
As I said in the match reaction, I felt a little sorry for Sancho today because he's not a false nine, and
he was out of position.
So he was out of position, and we need a number 9 desperately. You know, for him to go in and play. And I know, do you know what does one thing about these early preseason games that annoy me is that, you know, at halftime everyone's coming off. And I almost felt like certain players, Mount, Sancho being another, they really needed
more.
Another 15, I wanted to see another 15, 20 minutes of them in the second half, as it were. But yeah, look, we did okay today. We did okay. And what I thought was really interesting watching the kids was the goalkeeper, Kovar.
I was going to get to him. Yeah.
So much better at playing out from the back, which gave the team that foundation to play from, Staffy.
I think, to be honest, after watching that, I don't think he had much to do in terms of like goalkeeping, but the way he was like confident on the ball and like, you know, just doing his thing, that whole stuff that we've been talking about, like, you know, that De Gea couldn't do. I think he's a decent backup. I don't know how old he is. I know he's young.
23.
If he was okay, so he's not that young, but I would keep him as a backup if we can't get a goalkeeper next season. I mean, we're already trying to get Onana, and if we're trying to get a backup and we can't get one, I don't see why he can't be the backup because he looks like he does the fundamentals that Ten Hag wants very well. You know, I look at him, he reminds me of Isaac Stefan or Ortega, what they do at Man City. They're not amazing goalkeepers. They just come in for the odd game in the cup or whatever. They do what Pep wants them to do, which is be a ball-playing goalkeeper, do it well, and then they move on, you know? And I think he would be a decent backup for Onana when we get him in this season. I don't think we need to go out, honestly, if we have him at that age, I don't think we need to go all out and trying to find a replacement, you know? Unless, like, Ten Hag's not just sold on him, then that's a different case. But from what I've seen, I think is good enough.
I think he might be a player that has interest of other teams to be sold. and get some money for. I know Man United are now in the process of start selling these young players a lot earlier and a lot quicker than we used to. Even if it is for minimal fees, we'll work on that over time. But yeah, Kovar just won the league with Sparta Prague. He's 23. I'm pretty sure he's going to be wanting full game time. So I can see him potentially leaving, and then we're bringing in that Suzuki kid potentially, who we've been linked to, which I wouldn't mind either. So we've got a we might finally have the right goalkeeper situation since we've had Romero. Since Sergio Romero left, the goalkeeper situation has been so up and down, so chopping and changing. It's Henderson, it's De Gea, now it's Butland on loan, now it's Dubravka on loan, and now it's Heaton. We need a nice stable 1 and 2, and I think for the goalkeeping that's going to do as well. But overall, these young players, what you saw is synergy and chemistry because they've been playing together for so long. What Ten Hag wants to do, you saw with the foundations in their game. Now imagine the first team players have that same synergy, that same knowing when to play the ball safe, when to play it long. I'm looking forward to what Ten Hag is building. We just gotta be patient because obviously you got the Chelsea fans getting onto Mount for whatever reason. I don't know why they care about a guy they really wanted sold. They really want him gone, and they're so happy, but yet you're there watching his games and making comments.
What I hope, though, I just hope Man United fans don't do the whole "I'm going to back the Chelsea supporters" and they get behind their own player, because at the end of the day, you sort of meant to do it. But KJ,
Harry, what do you think I did? Because I wasn't a big fan of the Mount signing.
Yeah, you're a Man United fan, so you'll back Mount in that circumstance.
And that's exactly what I did.
Or at the very least, you just ignore it. You don't join in. Does that make sense?
I actually couldn't ignore it, Terry, because as you said earlier before we got on, it was very desperate. I saw it and I'm like, listen, I don't even like the Mount signing, but like even I can say that like I can't judge him after 45 minutes. The guy hasn't played for months. It's not like he just ended the season with Chelsea. He hasn't even played for a minute for Chelsea. So I can't even tell you when's the last professional game he played. So clearly his fitness levels is not even up. You know, when you don't play football in a while, your touch is kind of gone, you know, so you need that rhythm to start playing good again. So yes, some of his crosses were off. His shots weren't that amazing. So like nothing surprising, but to sit there on a weekday at 4 p.m. to make compilations about a player that you told me that you don't care about, and you were like, that's your issue right now. Thank you for the money. And you're making compilations. I mean, that screams desperation to me. Like, you can't burn his jersey, but then you're watching his first 45 minutes of a preseason game
I'm telling you,
in freaking Norway.
As well, MUTV just got mad hype up in monthly subscriptions. Like these men,
they paid money.
They just paid Man United $7.99 for a month to have a go at Mason Mount, and there might be millions of them. This is going to help us buy players, Chelsea. It's a.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Chelsea fans right now. There's no man them that break up with their girl, swear they don't like them anymore, swear she was the problem, swear she was the issue.
And then
they're stalking her like, she's with some next man in the club. Why is she doing this? Look at bro. I thought it was cool.
KJ, these are the same type of men that take their issues, their personal issues, like their relationship issues, and they post it on Twitter and Instagram stories. That's the same men that do that. Because you go over there and do it. The Facebook statuses there.
The Facebook, bro.
Some desperate fans, bro.
It's complicated. But I do want to say to you, by the way, there's a few people in the comments saying that people are retracting, they're having their comments deleted. No, you're retracting them yourself, because I get the update and it says message retracted. So it isn't my mods deleting your messages. You're deleting your own and pretending the mods are doing it. Again, that is very weird, beta, low value behavior. Please stop. I think I can change your mind, Emran being better than Ahmad. I'm going to tell you something, KJ. He has just said, my first goal of many, if God wants. KJ's going to love that. Because man mentioned God and all that. You know what I mean?
Which one are you praying to, though? Because that could be any of them. You know what I'm saying?
Again, we don't know, actually. Typically, when people say God, they're Christian, but you never quite know. You never quite know.
That is true. Well,
typically, but not always.
Big up my guy and that. Get him on the podcast soon and that, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Ahmad is still the better one. Right?
This super chat here from Ronnie says, I'm excited to see Mount, Bruno, Casemiro. I'm excited to see it. I'm not going to lie. Whether people are... There's a difference between being excited and gassed that you think it's going to be amazing. I'm just the energy and the press in that is going to be insane. I just hope, obviously, that turns into goals and whatever else. But I'm excited to see it. I'd love a little bit of an Amrabat. What's been your take on the Amrabat links, Staffy, in the last few weeks?
I think we need him, to be honest. I think that midfield is very thin right now. And if we're gonna go down that route of just pressing and P, and it's more, if you're being very honest, this whole midfield or the shape of the team is looking more built on physical attributes. Because like if you're gonna play counter press, you need a team that first of all has a lot of stamina, a lot of running, and they all know how to defend. And Amrabat fits that. Just that the one thing that I always remember for Amrabat is that 50-yard run behind Mbappe in the World Cup where he made like a tackle on the line. If you guys remember that, it was the Morocco versus France game. So that's what I remember before. And obviously I watched him in the Conference League final versus Fiorentina versus West Ham. So I haven't watched much of him, but these are the things that I remember from him. And if this is the way that Tanag wants to play, I think he's a good fit. We don't have a direct fit for Casemiro anyways. I don't know how good he is as a lone DM. I haven't watched enough of him, but he would be potentially cover there, if not playing next to him in certain games. There's one thing about Ten Hag, he's not going to play one style only. I think he's going to be very adaptable, very diverse. So it's very fine to expect him to switch that midfield sometimes from Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount to like Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno, or bringing in Amrabat, depending on the game. So for squad depth and for the profile player he is, as I said, I think it's a good signing for us. And for the budget as well. I mean, if he's only 25 million, I mean, that's a steal, to be honest. A player that plays international, played at high levels, and he's highly rated by so many teams. For 25 million, I think that's a very good price in today's market.
No, it is a good price, and we need that in our squad. We've seen the likes of Fred and McTominay for a while, and we know what their capabilities are. And to get where we want to get to, you can argue that that's not the case. Those capabilities are not what we need to go forward. Whereas someone like Amrabat, who's 26, international experience, in a position that both Fred and McTominay can't really play that well.
He could play deep.
DM role is 100%. We've been so scarce of DMs for so long. Look how long it took us to get one. We have one DM in Manchester United, and he's Casemiro. Having two is going to be so much better next season because we need to rotate Casemiro. If for some reason the Premier League continue with their Casemiro agenda and just give him reds every other week, because
Amrabat's going to earn his money then, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then we need someone to fill in there, and then hopefully Amrabat is that player, and I believe he can be. 26, great age. He's not a kid. He doesn't need to adapt to learning how to play the position. He knows how to play that position. So
he played it for Watford, no?
Hey, listen, boy, I'm not gonna lie, during the World Cup, I said the same thing, bro. I was like, wait, I have to correct myself, but like, actually, you got me. You know what I mean?
To be fair, he looks identical like his brother.
Yeah,
like if you put them both together, they look identical.
But now, like, all those months later after the World Cup we had, everybody should be know him. Listen, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in to this preseason match reaction and full fan highlight show. We'll be doing a number of these for Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool over the course of the summer. We won't do all the preseason games for everybody, but we'll do a fair number. More transfer news coming up later on tonight. Make sure that you Big Steve's on tomorrow afternoon and the Top 6 show tomorrow. So we've got loads coming up for you. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very